he was wrestling with his faith and asked his teacher, "Hey, can I talk to Lisa? I have some questions." And he began to think Christianity is a white man's religion. And so I talked to him. I was like, "Why do you think that?" He was like, "Because of the imagery I see of the Bible characters." He even said to me, "If the Bible characters, if Adam and Eve were white, is my skin color a product of the fall?" And that shows you how powerful the imagery is, that he thought he was only black because of sin. And he thought that all the Bible characters were white. And it shows you how powerful iconography can be to the human psyche and how it impacts black and brown people to constantly see the images and people in the Bible and Jesus portrayed as white.
All right. Shalom, shalom. Well, there you go. She was kind of going off about the black. We're not black people. That's another stronghold that's on most of our people's mind. We're Hebrew Israelites by nationality. And the name Jesus is a false name. The true name is Yahweh Shai. But you got what she said was very powerful. The images are more powerful than words, as I did the lesson. Give me 1 second. All right, so I'm gonna get to as much as I can. Right, so let me start here. All right, matter of fact, I'm gonna open up 1 second. All right. So yeah, how our people see those images growing up, even to this very day, plays on your psyche. That's why when we tell our people they the true biblical Israelites, they can't believe it because those images are stored in their mind, right? It's the part of this indoctrination that we trying to shake our people out of through the spirit, right? I'm gonna get into the true images of the Israelites, right? So I got a lot to get to. Let's open up the first scripture, right? This is a classic, right? So this is the book of First Maccabees, 3:47. It says, and then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their head and rent their clothes. 48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen, right, the so-called white man, had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So I'm gonna show you something real quick. So that's why our people don't consider themselves to be the Israelites, because it's psychological warfare, right? The images, right? The movies, the media, the books, the literature. Every time you think about the Israelites, you see them as so-called white people, right? So let me go into this. It says what that scripture means, I just read it. It said it means so-called white people wanted to repaint the color of the Hebrews from Negro, so-called Negro, to so-called Caucasian. All right, that's why the book was excluded from the Bible. So that's a part of the reason they took the Apocrypha out of the original Bible, because it's condemning, right? And you see, this is what our people have in their mind and their imagination. And I'm not going to stop showing you this image because you have to get this image out of your mind, right? So this is the Good Shepherd in 3rd century, but this would be Yahweh Shah portrayed as a so-called black man, how the original, ancient Hebrews looked. Let's go here, right? I'm going to show you some interesting stuff throughout the scriptures and throughout some stuff I got lined up. Deuteronomy 33:29. It says, happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, a people saved by the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, Salakia. And thy enemies, all right, so you got enemies. And they go to show you that the mental job that the so-called white man did on you with his plantation Christianity, you don't even know you got enemies, but yet, right, you came over here in slaves, right, cargo slave ships, and plus the northern kingdom that they, you know what I'm saying, pretty much did everything you could do to under the sun, tortured them, stole their land, changed their identity, right, so on and so forth. It says, thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. So let me get into this. Got a lot to get to. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to show you something. Right? So this would be the true depiction of the true biblical Israelites. Right? At the very top, it says Hebrews making mud bricks. This is actually in a tomb in Egypt. Right? So you see how they look, making mud bricks. Right? And these not so-called white people. So-called white people can't be in the sun for an extended amount of time. That's folly for our people to think that. All right, look at this. All right, they go to show you how dumbed down and just stupid minded our people is. All right, let's go here. Matter of fact, let me go show you some more images. But this is Ramses II, I believe. But you see, he got our people in subjugation. All right, you see how they look. All right, and these are true Egyptians as well. All right, so let me show you this one. This are our people in the Babylonian captivity. You see them dominant so-called black man features. These are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites, not the people that you see today in that land. Them are Edomites, right? So let me go back here. So I'm gonna read this. And this out of this book, let me make sure. I think this one is called Nature Knows No Color Line, right? I'm gonna read this. It says the so-called black exhibited by Jews, especially dark, were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. It says the Portuguese Jews, so-called Jews, right? These would be the Judeans, all right, from the tribe of Judah, all right, were very dark, says Pritchard, all right? Let me see. It says the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. It says so dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, right? That many so-called whites, thou all Jews, so-called Jews, Judeans, were black and dark, right? So let me go here. Let me show you something else. Right, so I'm gonna show you where Moses, right, got mistaken for an Egyptian. And it showed you how the Egyptians look. And let me show you this real quick. This is the book of Exodus 2 and Salakia. I think it's 2. Give me 1 second. All right, 2 and 17. It says, and the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses, I wanted to show you that so you can see what it's talking about. But Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. 18. And when they came to Ruel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today? Right? 19. And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds. So it was referring to Moses as being an Egyptian. Why? Right? Because first off, Moses had dark skin, right? Brown to dark flesh. All right, let me show you this real quick. All right, this out of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. It says Ham. It says the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dog races, all right, not the Negroes, because it's a difference from the so-called the Hamites and the so-called Negroes, which would be the Hebrew Israelites. That's what we descend from. But check this out, though. It says he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians. You see Egyptians and dark in the same breath. The dark races, right, which would be Egyptians. That's why Moses got mistaken for an Egyptian, because he had dark flesh, right? That was one of the main reasons. And also, he was in the custom of the Egyptian, right? But he had brown to dark flesh. Let's go here. So we know the Egyptians were dark skinned people, right? Brown to dark skinned people. Another person got mistaken for an Egyptian in the scriptures, and I can go to many other precepts, but I'm trying to keep it simple. All right, this is the book of Acts. This Paul, Salakia. Let me find the part. All right, this is the book of Acts 21 and 37. As you can see at the top. And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, may I speak unto thee? Who said, can thou speak Greek? 38. Are not that Egyptian? So he thought Paul was an Egyptian. Why? Because their skin tone, brown and dark flesh. 1 second. Salakia about that. But yeah, um, let me finish this up. Which before these days made us an uproar and led us out into the wilderness, 4,000 men that were murderers. All right, so Paul got mistaken for an Egyptian, but let me show you this real quick. But when you go look this stuff on Google and you start looking up the patriarchs out of the Bible, the prophets, the men of the Lord, the true people, you get this, right? Like going back into that video with opening the video. Look, they got this portrayed as Moses. And what is this right here? This is psychological warfare. After you've seen these images so many times, you're going to associate with the Bible to be a so-called white man book because the images are attached to your mind, if that makes sense. So when you go look up Paul, right, you see him as a so-called white man. But we know that they painted these images and they own everything so they can continue to perpetuate this lie and push so-called white supremacy so they could dominate your mind even, right, after you've been so oppressed. They still can dominate you. They can make you look down on yourself. They can make you think you ain't nobody, right? Let's go to this term right here, iconoclasm. So that's what she was saying. It's kind of like one and the same with whitewashing. Whitewashing, in the sense that we saying, is they take an image and lighten it up. They'll take an image they did in the ancient world, and they'll take our brown or dark flesh image and turn it into a so-called white man image, pale, reddish skin. It says iconoclasm. What does that mean? It says the rejection or destruction of religious images as heretical, the doctrine of iconoclasts. So there'll be somebody that take their image and whitewash it, right? So let's go back here. But has been psychological warfare, and they don't stop. So that's why you see anything on TV, anything you got the movie they play every so-called Easter, right? The indoctrinate you so you can continue to see those images. I'm gonna get into this book. This is one of my other books. I can't even find it, but I'm just gonna read it real quick. I was gonna give you the title of it, but it says the color of the ancient Israelites. And as he's giving you a scripture right here out of Messiah, look, it says his head and his hairs were white like wool. He had white woolly hair, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. And his feet like unto fine brass. Your feet is gonna be the same color the rest of your body is, right? So brass is the brownish color. As if they burned in a furnace. So it's letting you know it's a dark skinned man, very dark brown skinned man. And his voice to sound Salakian. His voice has the sound of many waters. But when you go look up pictures of the Messiah, they got him as a so-called white man. That's psychological warfare. So let me get into this and I'm gonna close it out. It says for many years the dominant portrayal of the Israelites have been of a people who had so-called white skin. There's no such thing as white skin. That's folly, right? They got red. They blood shows forth through their skin. They're red people. All right. This white was a social construct that they created in the 1600s, right? And they created the black concept. It says and appeared to be so-called Caucasian. All right. Caucasian, another word that they made up. It says this is mainly due to the artists such as Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo di Lodovico, all right, and so on and so forth. It says both of whom created some of the world's most recognizable depiction of the Israelites known today. You hear this? So this is the source, but they've been doing this. It says, however beautiful these artists' depiction may be, they grossly misrepresent the appearance of the ancient Israelites. The reason for these inaccurate portrayals is quite understandable, since most human beings have a tendency to conceptualize a God that appears as they do, right? A God that has bodily features such a skin tone, unlike one owns natural, seems foreign, right? So artists created oftentimes and commanded by religious leaders, sculptures, and paintings of biblical figures appear to be very similar to the people who the artist's works were meant to inspire. That's cold. But yeah, that's why most of our people brainwash and brain dead because they can't figure this out. Even though we're bringing all this information out, they still can't shake it. The indoctrination is too powerful, right? All right. So hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Allah Yahweh by Shem Yahushua By Hashem Rakakwadash. Shalom.